That was awesome.
I know this sounds very pedestrian, but I kind of wondered if you'd expand a little bit on how much that monetary number is to do this film, and maybe talk a little bit about how the streams of that money came into the production.
James can handle that.
Well, one of our producers was what you call the financing producer, Cassian Elways, and he put the money together for the film. It was around $3 to $4 million was the cost of the film, and so yeah, Cassian put together the financing. This is really boring. Basically, there was 3 companies that came in, equal partners, to finance the film, and so it was through what you call private equity, how they finance the film, versus a lot of films are financed through pre-sales, which we fortunately didn't have to do.
Way in the back.
Yeah.
I noticed in the beginning it said this happened in Texas, but it looked like a lot of filming was in Louisiana. So I was wondering.
Don't say that. Secret.
I was wondering why you're filming.
The great tragedy of this movie is that we weren't able to shoot in Texas for the most part.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's something that needs to, it's an important subject matter because we're from Texas. Obviously the movie's supposed to be in Texas. We put it right at the top. And because of, financial reasons, we had to shoot in Louisiana, which is where most movies are being shot these days. Like, you go to watch any movie at the movie theater right now, probably shot in New Orleans. And I hate that because everything just starts to look the same. And I love the way Texas looks. That's why I wanted to shoot it here. And it was very disappointing to realize that if we wanted to make a movie, we wouldn't be able to actually pull it off. We had to shoot in either Louisiana or Canada. And that's just the state of film financing these days. Luckily, we were able to secretly take all of our actors and the camera to Texas and shoot a lot of the exterior sequences. So all the stuff at the beginning of the movie, a lot of the scenes where they're outside, all of that was shot in real Meridian, Texas, which is between here and Austin, and that was really important to me to make sure we actually got some honest to goodness Texas on the screen, because otherwise I would have been like, well, I guess we're just gonna say this story took place in Louisiana.
Any of those really wide, beautiful vistas that you saw were Texas, except for the main farmhouse, which surprisingly, the whole reason we ended up shooting it, we had to shoot in Louisiana, but the whole reason we ended up shooting in Shreveport was because of that farmhouse. We found it like on our last day of scouting. And
it was like right on the border of
yeah, it was like
Texas and Louisiana.
Yeah, right on the border, and it was just like, it just looked so perfect. So that's what drew us there. In case you're wondering, the reason why is because Louisiana has tax credits that they give you for shooting there, and they have the biggest ones in all of America. So.
Hey, just to follow up on that same comment, a question about the Shreveport. Is that one exterior shot in the film shows the courthouse? I guess it is. Is that Meridian or is that Shreveport?
That's Meridian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought one of the most powerful scenes was in the store when the villain was saying to Trump's father. Could you talk how you set up the tension in that? Was it Keith Carradine, David Carradine?
Keith Carradine, yeah.
Keith Carradine. I'm just I'm just fascinated by villains and fascinated by horror. I mean, you walked in and, okay, these guys are bad. This is trouble. Could you discuss the shooting of that?
Yeah, that scene was really fun. That was Keith's first day. That was the first thing he shot. And it was really, that scene was written so that you would know that those guys were bad. And it was just like, I didn't want to explain who they were, where they came from, or, other than what Casey says at the end, it was just some guys that came from somewhere. And that's like, I just wanted, 3 guys who look bad. So you get actors who can convincingly show some degree of menace. And surprisingly, 2 of those actors were filmmaker friends of ours who we just realized looked mean. They're both directors. And then you dress them appropriately so that, that's a point in the movie where, like, those characters are more symbolic than they are literal. There's a degree of pragmatism to some of their dialogue, but generally they're more of like a symbol. And then in that sequence with Keith, the idea was just to not, they're both being completely indirect. Like they both know something's afoot, or Keith certainly knows, and they know that Keith knows, and neither of them are really talking about the matter at hand. And the idea is, of course, you cut the scene right before they actually start talking about what they're meaning to talk about, but the intimidation factor is there, and then you add in like a little bit of detail about a gun, just so you introduce like the threat of violence to their conversation, and it was just a scene in which the idea was, let's introduce a threat in the most almost overt way possible, and like have three guys who show up and you just know from the second they walk in that door they're bad, and that they're up to no good, and that they mean harm to the people we hopefully are caring about in the story, and that was really all the motivation for that scene. And as far as how we shot it, was just we went into the set and we're like, it's like, oh, Keith, I think you'll sit over here and you can have a guy you're talking to, and they'll come through the door, and then you just keep rolling.
That set, by the way, was built from scratch. It was in an existing building, but our production designer, Jade, put all that crap in there.
Yeah.
It was
It
patterned
was just a shed,
after, coincidentally, it was patterned after the old Home Supply, which is in Fort Worth.
Exactly.
It's an ideal location. That
We just showed
basically-
photographs of that.
We literally went there and showed the production designer photographs and rebuilt it in Louisiana.